Right. Yeah. So this video is just to document. I've done a live on Facebook. I'm just going to keep this to the point really because I'm shattered. So basically, I had two female officers turn up today to cause me alarm, harassment, and distress. I've got to contact Kelly J. Keane from Let Women Speak because there's been a court ruling in the Houses of Parliament. There's literally just been a court ruling in the Houses of Parliament to say that a biological woman is a woman, and that's it. So whatever you've been assigned at birth, it's not a crime to say that's what you are. Now, bearing in mind that on Tuesday, the 1st of October, 5 days after I reported common assault, it's on some of it's on YouTube, some of it isn't. PC Howard May, EB334, and PC Mufali sexually assaulted me at the very accommodation that the law courts are meant to have given me. Because I have a landlady in contempt of court who's breached her injunction order. And PC Howard May, EB334, took evidence of the school teacher tenant assaulting me. Then he went on to sexually assault me himself, as a rape victim. I put someone on a sex offenders register, 2 years in prison at Hove Crown Court. With nearly, I'd say, yeah, 2010, 2011. So that's about 15 years ago, isn't it? And they went on to PC Howard May EB334 went on to arrest me along with PC Mark Vittler over a parcel, which is a civil matter. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of this. I just go on and on and on, and I'm shattered because I've been speaking for hours last night and hours today to my partner's friend. And Darren is going to make a witness statement because he suggested that I leave a card and flowers for my sister. And I had a desk sergeant who's gone through 3 degrees of Freemasonry to get to that level to tell a vulnerable woman, an extremely vulnerable woman, that if she leaves a card and flowers for her sister, she'll go to prison. That is exactly what the desk sergeant said to me. If I leave a card and flowers for my sister, I'll go to prison. As I said to Darren, because this has caused so much trauma, I can't tell you. I lost a lot of blood. I've got it in writing from Dr. Webborn that it could be life threatening if I didn't have a blood transfusion. This was 3 weeks after I was locked out of the house at Whitley Road. So I'm being terrorised. And then yesterday, or was it the day before, I found out that the solicitor that I've reported to the Solicitors Regulation Authority has 12 counts of corruption against him, including sexual harassment. And he married his 74-year-old victim. And the person who's saying this is an 86-year-old woman. I'm going to put a link to her video, to the video of her on YouTube, because my partner's friend, Charlie, knows this lady in Bexhill. She's a lawyer. She's amazing. She at one point she said I would have suicided had I not been strong enough. She's being terrorized by bailiffs. The corruption is rife. She said anyone who has any dealings with her, nasty things start happening to them. They get their cars scratched, all kinds of nasty things. And this woman is amazing, and she's saying that these thugs, Sussex police, the bailiffs, because every eviction that's taking place in this country right now is illegal. And I've had yet another nutcase in this very hotel that was on GB News for illegal immigrants. Nick Tenconi, Please, please, please contact me, please. I shook your hand at the Freedom Rally. I've had abuse in this hotel again today from a nasty thug on the desk downstairs. This hotel was on GB News for illegal immigrants. He threatened me with police when I went down there to say to them, I said to this thug, Philip, I said, you threatened me with assault when I received a malicious communications letter on the 31st of January, which was the same day I last saw Ewan Morrison, the caseworker who works for my local MP, Josh Bibarundi. He didn't get back to me 3 months ago. 3 times I asked him to contact Mr. Holden. Mr. Holden, I've reported him to the Solicitors Regulation Authority because on the 9th of December he wrote to me to say he had a full legal aid certificate to commit the landlady to prison and to seek damages. He shouted down the phone at me. He didn't care if it was the Prime Minister phoning him. He told me to go away. He slammed the door in my face, and he's had yet another poor review added to Bird Eye on, and you only have to read the reviews of his law firm. The corruption. I mean, everyone says he's the rudest man, but this is very extremely serious because I'm a vulnerable adult. I've now got my late father's inheritance. I've had a power advocate say that my sisters illegally went through my father's things without me. Mr. Holden was going to help me make a subsequent claim against the council for illegally locking me out of my supported accommodation on news of my father's death. So I've been speaking for endless hours about all of this. How Andy Camfield, the Lansdowne hotel manager, intervened. He's now in prison for 7 years because allegedly my eldest sister, according to Janet, my eldest sister's friend Louise was on the local ITV news because he defrauded her. And this Andy Camfield had contacted the head of police and the managing director, and they're the ones who locked me out of my supported flat on news of my father's death. So this woman in Bexhill, this 86-year-old woman, I want to reach out to her. My partner's friend might be able to speak to her on my behalf because he sees her in the library. She's being terrorised. She's been reported missing by adult social care, who they've been an absolute nightmare. She's had Sussex police thugs and the bailiffs breaking into her house, leaving the taps running. I mean, this is what the mafia do. They do this to terrorise. Every eviction that's taking place right now is illegal anyway because of the corruption. And this landlady attempted to illegally evict me on the 4th of March. Then she actually did it on the 5th of July. District Judge Harper told her on the 8th of August he could send her to prison. He told me to go to Mr. Holden. But if he's got all this corruption against him, including sexual assault, and he thinks it's okay for the police to sexually assault me, to bare my top half completely naked, because that's what they did, and I'm a rape victim. As I said, in 2010 or 11, I went to Hove Crown Court. PC Dixon took me there. And I was taken to the Saturn Rape Victim Centre in Crawley, and I put my assailant in prison for 2 years and 10 years on a sex offenders register. But what the police have been doing to me is far worse. I have had to deal with all of this completely on my own until Darren came into all of my problems. I've had to be Superwoman. But as I said, it's only with the power of Abba Yahweh. So on this Passover, this is all happening for a reason, because I had my YouTube videos playing And had I not watched the end of that YouTube video, I would not have seen that woman say what she said about Mr. Holden, because she said he sexually harassed her years ago, and she's 86 now. I mean, what a revelation! Because on last Friday, I rang the Solicitors Regulation Authority and discussed at the response I got from the Solicitors Regulation Authority saying that Mr. Holden said that I wasn't instructing him and that he didn't slam the door in my face. Yeah, he's turned out to be just as demented as the very landlady that he said he would help commit to prison. I mean, he is like the solicitor version of this landlady. And I'm an extremely vulnerable woman. And as I said, if you have a look on Bird Eye, the reviews of the solicitors' reviews, a landlady's review is saying that basically she, we don't know. I don't know how he manages to keep his firm going. And that she'd made complaints to the Law Society to try and get money back. And people in the reviews are saying, he is the rudest man. He is the rudest man. I've got evidence against him for exploiting me as a vulnerable adult. He told me not to worry about my valuables. Let's get this landlady for what she's done. He said I have up to 6 years to make a claim against the council. But they're not even doing right this very second. They're not even doing what support through the courts are telling them they need to do, because I've recorded phone calls of an hour and 18 minutes to a woman called Anna at the hub, and Andrew Cook emailing me a few minutes later, illegally refusing me accommodation. They're not allowed to do that. I've spent thousands of pounds of back pip on these hotels. My late father's inheritance is fast depleting on these hotels. I'm suicidal. Police turn up to do a welfare check. I was telling Charlie about how they tried to get me in prison for going up Beachy Head suicidal so many times. And I've gone through the trauma in my family with my mother, my father, and my sister, because this woman is telling me I have a brother. I said I don't have a brother. They're saying that you made transphobic. The word transphobic doesn't even exist. It was made up. I said I don't understand. Could you please leave me alone? You are causing me alarm, harassment, and distress. I told your colleagues the other day that the damage is done, and you're turning up doing welfare checks. The legal ombudsman tried to get me compensation from Cramp and Mullany. I've got the evidence of this. It was Karen Sharp tried to get me compensation because they suggested that I plead guilty, even though they said that I defended myself during a welfare check. And they've put that down as a crime. I mean, they are turfing out paedophiles, rapists, knife-wielding maniacs to put political prisoners, care workers, grandparents, anyone in the UK who has an opinion that goes against the tyranny. I'm seeing something on YouTube about people saying that they're English. Oh, that's a crime. Let's put them in prison. People are leaving this country in the droves. America is laughing at us. The world is laughing at us. Bring it on, bring it on. This country is an international embarrassment. My late mother had an amazing life at sea in the 50s and 60s. She travelled the world. She had the illegal abortion in 1958 in America, and that was traumatic. She wanted to settle in New Zealand. My parents met at sea on a ship. got married in Cape Town. Um, neither of my parents wanted to come back to this country, even back then. But people died for our freedoms because my mother used to say, we'd be speaking German had we not won the war. My grandmother lived through two world wars. My mother lived through one world war, and she used to tell me the importance of how people died for our freedoms. So I need Nick Tenconi to hear about this. I need him to hear because I am being terrorized within an inch of my life. And if it wasn't for Darren encouraging my faith, I don't know what I'd do. I really don't know what I'd do. But this has all happened for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Nothing is random. I would believe in karma, but karma is a new age pagan belief. And yeah, so how can I be sexually assaulted by the police? I'm going to email one of the campaigners at Let Women Speak, the one who suggested I go to the Freedom of Speech Union to claim sexual assault against Eastbourne police and to say, because this has been several times over 9 years of horrors. That this is how I've lost blood. My hemoglobin levels went dangerously low. I've never ever had a physical health problem in my life. And if they carry on like this is how people get strokes, heart disease, dementia. This is how it happens. Narcissistic abuse, gang stalking, persistent. It will not stop. And this man on the desk downstairs, I said to him, you call me madam. This is exactly what happened with that horrible grey-haired old man at the NICER. Just because I said to him not to be rude, I said you don't have to be rude. Then he called me a mad woman, and then madam, and then called the police. It's demented, infantile, a grey-haired man. And then I'm getting it here. This guy on the desk downstairs is calling me Bryony. I said, you call me madam. I don't know you. I know your name is Philip. Hey, you're mental. You are mental. I said, who is the manager here? Who is the manager? I said, this hotel was on GB News for illegal immigrants. You're laughing. And I received a pages long malicious communications letter. It wasn't the police who took a photograph of it, it was the paramedics. It contains sexually explicit content. This is serious. This is serious. Talking about my teeny tiny titties. Those were the words that were in the letter. And talking about my partner putting his hand down his trousers. I never said on Facebook that my partner put his hand down his trousers, in the same way that I never said that the Muslim manager came into my hotel room while I was wearing a towel. I said I opened the door with a towel wrapped around me. I wouldn't let a man in here wearing a towel unless he forced his way in. But there are some sick, demented lunatics. A very, 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 very sick, disturbed individual wrote that letter. And the police are coming here saying, we would like you to turn up for the thing is, you have a brother that you harassed. I said, no, I don't have a brother. You're causing me alarm harass. I said, I'm not even safe to talk to you. They're in airy fairyland. I have a middle sister called Bronya, and along with her support worker, she asked me to sit down with them in Wetherspoons. I put my arms around my sister. I hugged her. I cried for her. and I walked with her to the bus stop. Not once did Bronya tell me to get off her or to go away or anything like that. These are false claims. I have freedom of speech, Article 10 of the Human Rights Act, and I said, I'm on severe disability, I've lost blood, you're causing me alarm, harassment, and distress. And as it is, the power advocate, the swan advocate, Joanna Standing, has said that my sisters illegally went through my father's things without me. That is illegal. Locking me out of my flat on news of my father's death is illegal. I still don't know how my father died, and I have been using his inheritance on these hotels. And as a woman on severe disability, I should not be paying for these hotels with back pip or my father's inheritance. And I'm getting abuse from an idiot on the desk. They make a mint out of these hotels. Nick Tanconi, you need to contact me about this. Really do. I've got so much respect for you. I've got so much to say. I don't expect you to listen to every word I say because I go on for hours. But if I can just keep this as short as I can, honestly, it's disgusting. It really is. They've done everything to me. This is what I've been documenting. So, as I said, I need to contact Kelly J. Keane, the campaigner that suggested I go to the Freedom of Speech Union. I need to let the Solicitors Regulation Authority know about the YouTube video that I am going to drop in a link in the description, because I would like to meet that lady. I was sexually assaulted by the police as a rape, and I tell you what, my mother would be 87, a year older than that amazing woman who is being terrorised by Sussex police in Bexhill in her own home, by bailiffs, by thugs, and she's, I can almost, if I may say this, I feel like she could almost be like a friend of my late mother's. She's got that something about her, you know. Um, I know what I mean. Um, um, yeah. And the landlady that's in contempt of court, that's happy to go to prison, that said she'd help me write a book. She's only a year younger than that. She's what, 85, 86? Yeah, because my mother would be 87, and I'm like, you know, people know that I'm extremely vulnerable. My mother worried herself to death but about me. But anyway, I have spent endless hours talking about the trauma in my family. My mother's illegal abortion 24 years before I was born, this satanic agenda. As Darren said, Darren's the intelligent one. I've had a lot of tears and upset with Darren because I didn't get a happy birthday last month. But this lady in Wales who has watched my YouTube, she witnessed Lilybank Homes trying to remove the door to my room. She saw everything. She even knew that something wasn't quite right when they put the lock back on the door, and it was a different lock. And she saw that the paramedics were playing along with it while I was being terrorised in my own home. So this woman, Helen, in Wales, if you're watching, I did try to ring you today. Your email on my behalf has been ignored by, I'm going to re-forward it to you and Morrison, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I gotta just get off here. But I'm thinking, shall I ring 101 just to say, I might just ring 101 right now just to say what's happened earlier. But keeping a low profile because the chairman of the EHA should hear about this. But I'm just feel so much relief talking to my partner's friend Charlie because he had no idea. He's actually the first person I've been talking to him for hours tonight and last night. He offered to take my sister, my sister, the the transgender sister, as it were, who calls herself my brother. I hid so much pain from her. I was, my sisters have really abused me very badly, but I've still shown them love. That's why I cried for her. I was so worried about her. And I was sworn at by her support worker because I wouldn't call her a man, or I don't understand any of it. But I've heard about the dangers of transitioning from people on YouTube, women who have said, it's dangerous, don't do it. These are the health issues I have. And my sister's telling me she's disabled, she needs help washing and dressing, and I'm thinking, what? Um, I to see her with the with that. I mean, I could say I identify as a child. I could go down that route, but I really do identify as a child. I'm 43 and I identify as a child. I have disassociation issues myself. What about my disability? Why am I being discriminated? You know, uh, it's whatever, whatever we say, the tyranny. You do as we say, or no, these are crimes against humanity. Article 10 of the Human Rights Act. Also, the Equality Act, Section 27 of the Equality Act. Oh, I've had so many crimes committed against me. It's unbelievable. And they're afraid if you speak the truth. So I need Nick Tanconi to hear about this. So, but Charlie, because they've illegally gone through my father's things without me, and Bronya got rid of an antique doll cabinet that was meant to come to me from my mother, and she threatened. She was horrible. She was so nasty to me. She said that I caused. She didn't want to give me a birthday card from my mother because she said you helped kill mum with cancer, and my mum's friend was disgusted with her. My mother's friend has got cancer now. They've tried to keep me away from my mother's best friend. It's narcissistic abuse. And it's all comes from my father. It's filtered down and it's passed on because that's what bullies do. They pass it on to the next youngest victim, the next one, and the next one. It's a generational curse. So, but despite the fact that Bronya said to me, if you don't take this doll cabinet, I'm taking it to the. She took it to a charity shop. Now, Jonathan Cook from Humphrey and Co. We'd all agreed with Tricia Shapara, Patsy, my mother's friend. We'd all agreed that these things would come to me. And Bronya, who's living in my mother's flat, she got rid of those things. And Charlie, who I've been on the phone to for hours, I've been telling him what's been happening because he had no idea. 10 years ago, or nearly 10 years ago, he offered to take that doll cabinet for me because I've got a disability that I haven't had help with in the community. I've got OCD. So this is what I've been speaking about for hours. So there we go. As I said, I'm not saying anymore because I could be here forever. So as I said, learned something about about that solicitor. Need to fork out for a private solicitor. My money's all going to be gone. And what do you want? You're pathetic. I bet your ancestors would be proud of you. wouldn't they? Yeah, your forefathers. Yeah, so I'm going to ring 101 because I've got a reference number. I've also got a payroll number. Um, so I might just put this on mute for now. I'll just pause this. Uh, what would you call it? A the lady I spoke to, Vicky, confirmed that the officers that turned up, it was supposed to be a voluntary interview. Um, and I've gone into the severity of this because I explained to them that their presence was causing me alarm, harassment, and distress. That um, that I was told I was released on bail. That I need to claim against the police for sexual assault, but I can't keep up because they just won't leave me alone. I've got a landlady in contempt of court who breached her injunction order, and the same officer who sexually assaulted me with his other colleague, PC Mufali, PC Howard May EB334, had previously taken evidence of a school teacher tenant assaulting me in the property that I've been illegally locked out of because I've got a landlady who could face prison. And then but they end up threatening me with prison if I leave a card and flowers for my sister. So this is what it's come to. And that same PC Howard May EB334 assaulted me again with PC Mark Vittler back in December or November, I think it was. Yeah, it has all been reported. But I just because this is I just for the record, I want to just say what happened earlier today. Um, I went downstairs in the hotel that I'm staying in because the police shouldn't actually know where I am. This is why I don't want them to know where I am. They tried to get this information from me, and I said it's none of your business. I don't want them knowing. I just want them to leave me alone. So because they don't protect me when I'm actually being attacked by actual convicted criminals. Because as I said, I went to the Let Women Speak campaigners about, I spoke out with campaigners about this. So anyway, I went downstairs to complain about the police to the reception, the hotel receptionists. Now I said, look, do you know anything about who it was who contacted the police? And he was on the defense. And I said, look, the thing is, um, you know, I didn't go into the details. I didn't tell him what had happened to me and the threat of being a political prisoner and being because I'm a rape victim. I've put someone in prison for attempted rape at Hove Crown Court in 2010, 2011, and I've said I've been sexually. I did go into all that details. I said I back in January, I received a malicious communications letter. This is serious. It was pages long back in January, and the receptionist here in this hotel knows this because I came downstairs in distress. I said, I've received this letter, and I said, with all due respect, you reacted to my distress and you threatened with me with assault. You threatened to put me outside, and he reacted. He said, I did not. I did not. He said it's on camera. It's on camera. He said this at the time. He said this at the time when he threatened me. He said, I've got cameras. And I said, good, good. I'm glad you have because you're threatening me with it. I said, look, I said, I'm only giving you the facts. That is what you said to me at the time. And he just became rather reactive and said, uh, he said my name, Bryony, and I said, don't no, don't call me Bryony. You don't know me. You call me Madam. It's here on the system. It's here on the system. I said, well, there you go. I said, I just want to know what's going on. Why the police? We have nothing to do with the police. And then he said, you're a mental case. You're mental. Ha 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 ha. And I said, what is wrong with? I said, how dare you? I said, you're laughing at me. Yes. No, I have not already reported this. I'm reporting this because this happened after the police turned up. I have not reported this. This was a receptionist downstairs. His name is Philip. He threatened me with police when I had gone downstairs to say that I was distressed about the police turning up, and he was threatening me with police for being distressed at their harassment of me. And I said, where's your manager? And the manager came out. I said, this is disgusting. I've already had a malicious communications letter to this hotel, and the receptionist is now laughing at me, calling me mental, and threatening me with police. Yes, this was exact. Yes. This was about an hour later, and he threat. I felt that I actually started to feel unsafe and distressed that I walked out of the hotel because he was threatening to call the. I mean, I said to him, I said, I've spent thousands of pounds on these hotels. And I said to him, this hotel was on GB News for illegal immigrants. I know. Everybody's in this hotel. I said, he said, I'm calling the police. And because he threatened to, I said, why are you threatening to call the police? You're being abusive. You're laughing at very serious matters, and you're mocking me. So I walked out. I walked out of the hotel, and I'm going to make complaints to the chairman of the EHA as it is, because this man threatened to assault me. He called he called This was 3 months ago. I haven't heard back from the local MP caseworker who's meant to have contacted me. I've reported a solicitor to the Solicitors Regulation Authority, whom I've just learned he's got 12 counts of pages of corruption against him, including sexual harassment. I mean, there is so much corruption going on. This is probably why, well, I think, obviously this is why I'm disliked, because I'm speaking the truth here. But, this is serious because I had paramedics turn up 3 months ago to take a photograph of the malicious communications letter, which I might also add contains sexually explicit comments about my breasts, saying that my partner puts his hand down his trousers, talking about my family. Well, I, the lady I spoke to, I've got her payroll number, Vicky. She said I did actually report it. I don't remember reporting it because so much has happened. But my partner did say to me, why don't you go to the police desk in Hastings? Because I'm not safe with Eastbourne police. Now, but I'm not, because of what I've been through. I'm not safe with, as I always say to Eastbourne police. I said I'm not safe with any of you. So I'm not even safe. I do not feel safe to even go to the police desk just to say, well, this is the letter. I could bring it with me, if needs be. But what anyway? So just to get to the point, the reason why I'm phoning is really just to say that today, after those two female officers turned up, and it's not on the system apparently, I get a threat of police just for saying to the receptionist that I am distressed. I've just had enough of this. I've lost. As I keep saying this, I lost a lot of blood due to stress. According to a doctor, I was severely anemic, and I've never had that before. And this was after I was locked out of the house. The landlady has never been arrested. She's got my valuables. The district judge told her he could send her to prison, and twice I have been beaten and handcuffed by the police, and I'm being harassed in this bloody hotel, pardon my language. My late father's inheritance is, I still don't know how my father died, and it's very fast depleting on these hotels. The council aren't doing what the law is telling them to do. The MP hasn't got back to me, and this demented solicitor who had a legal, full legal aid certificate to put the landlady in prison. I've got everything in writing, but the police are harassing me. I am being terrorised, and I'm not in a physical or mental state to. Well, no, well, I don't think anyone would be in a physical right state to deal with it. Yes. Well, it was that horrible Philip on the desk. He's a bit thuggish. He said this is the same one who threatened to put me outside because I was upset at receiving a malicious communications letter. He started pulling faces and laughing and mocking me and well, a bit behaving pretty much like every other individual I've dealt with. But it was just that was basically it. Just a load of noise came out of his mouth and mocking me and saying I'm mental and laughing at me and just demented, demented. It's just not normal behaviour. I said, I said, you threatened me with assault when I received a malicious communication. I did not. I did not. 3 months ago, yes, you did. 3 months ago, when came downstairs in distress, saying, I've got this letter, this horrible, nasty letter from an unknown poison pen writer, and yeah, so yes. Well, as I said, just he said your name. He called me Bryony, and I said, can you call me Madam because you don't know me. That's not how you address a hotel guest. You call me Bryony. You call me Madam. It was here on the system. You're mental, you are. Ah, that is how. And I said, where's the manager? I said, how dare you? I've spent thousands of pounds on these hotels as a loyal guest. The MP caseworker who knows which hotel I am in, he hasn't got back to me. He was meant to get back to me 3 months ago. He he was supposed to contact Mr. Holden, who has been abusive to me, lied to me, falsely taken me on, shouted down the phone at me. I don't care if the Prime Minister is ringing me. I've reported him, and I've just learned from a YouTube video that from a woman who my partner's friend knows her, who's being terrorised also by Sussex police and bailiffs. An 86-year-old woman. She said he's got 12 pages of corruption against him. So the solicitor that the judge told me to go to. The solicitor that the judge told me to go to, he actually told me to go to this judge. Sorry, District Judge Harper told me to go to this solicitor on the 8th of August, when he told the landlady he could put her in prison. He told me to go to this Mr. Holden. He also told me to go to the local MP and the council. So anyway, so I'm going off. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Yeah, yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I know the same old phrases. I know. Don't worry. That phrase is long tired out. Yeah. So that's basically it. Yeah, that's basically it. Yes, I am. I am. Call me Bryony. Yes. Yeah. So I can. Yes, I am extremely vulnerable. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not being funny. I've just. I've survived the insanity. I've been through the entire system. Last Friday, I was messed around by the doctor's surgery who are complicit in the corruption. The solicitor was going to help me, the one that I've reported, this corrupt solicitor, he was going to help me make a subsequent claim against the council. It involves the doctor, the GP, and I've been messed around by support services. I've been hung up on. Just, I've, you name it, been there, done there. Got the t-shirts. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry. No, I was just. No, I was just letting you know. Yeah, no, I wasn't. Look, I didn't want to. To be honest, I don't even have the energy. I just thought I better mention it because I just don't know what's going to happen next. I just because I just need to obviously just to mention it just in case because because obviously it's all part of the insanity, of course. It when you when, well, it was really as I said, it's just to let you know because if I go downstairs in my in the hotel that I'm staying in, I have been sexually assaulted by the police. I've been beaten. I've been beaten and injured by the police. I'm not safe with any of them. I'm talking about on previous occasions, some very serious past incidents that I have not made claims against because I'm being harassed. I'm being harassed, and it's like a form of gang stalking. It's harassment. So what with the letter and everything. So all I did was just to cover my back, as it were, just to keep myself fit. Because the thing is, you know, if I go downstairs to tell the staff here that the police have caused me alarm and harassment, and that their presence has caused me distress, and then just from saying that, just from saying that, I get a threat of police just for saying that. I mean, yeah, because they're making false allegation. They said that and then they followed it up with a threat that if I don't turn up for an interview, they'll have to force me. I said, well, it's not voluntary then. That is why I spoke out with campaigners at Let Women Speak. That is why there's just been a ruling, literally just been a ruling in the Houses of Parliament to say that a biological woman is a biological woman. So why are they turning up? I as a rape victim. Yeah. No, we're not. We're not going round in circles. In actual fact, we're getting right to the crux of it. There has just been a ruling in the Houses of Parliament, literally just now, to say that a biological woman is a woman. So why have two female officers today turned up, turned up to say We want you to come down for a voluntary interview, but if you don't turn up, we'll have to force you. And I was shaking and I said, I want you to leave because I have serious complaints of sexual assault and other beatings and other previous occasions. That because this has been more than one occasion. Because one of the officers said that I have a brother. I said I don't have a brother. I have two sisters, and this is what this is about. They said the word they made a false claim that I harassed my sister and I made transphobic comments. The word transphobic doesn't even exist. I said I don't understand what you are talking about. They're talking rubbish. I have a middle sister who I sat down with in Weatherspoons. I was already in Weatherspoons with my partner on the 15th of August. My middle sister and her support worker sat down with me. Do not say that we are going round in circles because that phrase is doesn't work with me. It's boring. We are right at the point of what is going on right now under the law. Okay, I mean, to state a biological fact. I just happened to be in Weatherspoons. It was the day before my middle sister's birthday, 50th birthday. She was in there with her support worker. She said, let's go and sit down. I was in shock. I was in tears. I hadn't seen her. I was in shock. I hadn't seen her for years. And I sat down with them. We had a chat. I hugged my sister. My partner will even write a statement because my partner suggested I leave a card and flowers for her. She never once told me to get off. Pardon me, she didn't tell me to get off her. I walked with her to the bus stop and she said, her words to me were, I'm going to get a mediator which is what I've been trying to get, a mediator for us. So these two females who've turned up today, and they said it's not even on your system. This what was her name? Vicky, payroll 42261. She said that there was nothing on the system to say that two female officers turned up. Yes, they did, and they caused me alarm and distress, and they made false. Yes, she did. Yes, that's right. I was on the phone to my partner at the time. I was very I think at that point I can't remember if that was before or after the abuse I got from Philip, the receptionist. Um, but yeah. Well, the manager, sorry to interrupt. The manager did witness. The manager didn't. The manager witnessed it, and he didn't really have anything to say. So I was already distressed because the threat of calling the police causes me. Um, I'm traumatized. Like most people in this country, I am traumatized just by I only have to see a police car. I've already got PTSD. I've had as I said, I'm speaking as someone who is actually a rape victim who's put someone in prison for attempted rape. I've been for hours on the phone to my partner's friend tonight, telling him what's happened, and he said he would, if there was anything he could do to act as a witness or as a character statement, because I've just never known anything like it. I've got things going on in my life. I've got a disability. I've been homeless. I've been the victim of all this corruption. And my sister's support worker was all right with me in Weatherspoons until she swore at me. Um, and she was, and I said, I'll report you to adult social care. Who are you? I said, you're unprofessional. How dare you swear at me? Just because I wouldn't call my sister a man. And I don't know. I just don't know. Yes, please. 0069. Thank you. And yeah, just to say, what I don't care about all the nonsense that's going out there with this political satanic nonsense. I'm not interested in that. I have been worried for my sister. I showed her love. I have heard about the dangers of transitioning. I've been worried for her health. Now, as a loving sister, that's what a loving sister does. If I wasn't loving, I'd say I couldn't care less and go and do whatever you want to your body, go and be a man, whatever. But I have been worried about her because I have heard testimonies of women who have transitioned to a man and talked about the dangers. And now my sister is telling me she's brain damaged, she needs help washing and dressing. She wasn't like that. I saw her outside her flat. She didn't look like that, and so I don't know if what she's had done to her. I don't know, but it's very upsetting as it is because she got rid of things that were meant to come to me from my mother, and now they've gone through my father's things without me, which is illegal. And I'm adult social care are not helping me. This is something that the MP caseworker was supposed to help me with, and no one's doing anything. So you're just all making a mockery of me because I'm suicidal from time to time, and you know, in the thick of all of this. So yeah, it's disgusting. It's yeah. Anyway, but I've got enough to deal trying to cope with. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. I mean, do you mind if I ask who I'm speaking to for reference? Not that it. Oh, okay. Sorry, 442. Okay. Funny that your name's Charlie. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks. Bye. Bye. No, we're not going round in circles. We're getting to the point of it. There's been a court ruling. I don't know the exact words, but basically to say that a biological woman is a biological woman. I don't know the exact words, but it's to do with all of this. People just want to get on with their lives. There are people who have had transitioning and they just want to just be left alone, and I want to be left alone. I want my freedom of speech. I have my freedom of speech. Being offended by words is not a crime. You can be as nasty as you like. That's not a crime. Being nasty, being a bully is not a crime. I'm none of those things. What I'm saying is if I say something that you don't like, doesn't mean that you arrest me. I mean the number of times they could have arrested my mother, who was old school, shouting in church against the appraisal of our pervy headmaster when the PTA wanted to get rid of him, and people said, "Oh, you should have got a gold medal for that." Now they'd be saying, "Oh, that's a breach of the peace. Everything's a breach of the peace. You can't do anything." My mother used to discipline other people's children, smack them, grab them if they if they weren't disciplined and say, you leave my daughter alone. If they'd, because if a lot of these boys were little thugs and they'd never been disciplined and they used to cause me and my middle sister trauma, and my mother would grab them, and there's a 7.5 year age gap between me and my middle sister, but my mother was old school, no nonsense. And you think of all the things she could have gone to prison for. She just, I just don't understand any of this. You see, all of this, and I'm learning as I go. I get my therapy is from YouTube and Paul Joseph Watson, and I expect the police to be the police. I don't, not a police service where you just got morons doing whatever they like. Well, this is what I've been telling Charlie, and he's in shock at what I've been telling him. Anyway, that was another Charlie. So Charlie Bravos, that's some sort of a police code. Anyway, it's all in the court of the Shaumayim. Yahweh, Yahweh bless us.